What's up, 2026? Best channel in spiritual and intellectual honesty. So I was compelled to do this video, right? And, I found out that Chuck Norris died yesterday. And it made me think and reflect on the world changing and how masculinity has changed and perception of the world has changed. With myself and the macrocosm. You know what I'm saying? So, as I always do, I like to talk about more than one thing at the same time. You know. So, Chuck Norris, right? When it came to with Chuck Norris, right? I never really liked Chuck Norris like that. When I was younger, you know, as a kid, as a young adult, not only it just only until very recently I started really kind of liking Chuck Norris, right? So if you ask me right now, who would win in a fight, an actual fight, Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee? I would easily, hands down, say, without even thinking about it, Chuck Norris. Why? Because we understand certain things now, right? We know the science about fighting. We understand that, the best, fighting is boxing and wrestling, right? This is what Bruce Lee said, right? This is the best type of fighting, right? Back in the day, people thought that Kung Fu was the best fighting, because it was so fancy, right? All the flipping and acrobat. And basically, it's just movies, right? The same thing with Bruce Lee, right? Bruce Lee was an actor and a philosopher, right? He didn't really fight the best of the best people, when it came to the best fighters. But Bruce Lee, we can say, right? He was the fake it till you make it, right? In a sense, right? Because, Bruce Lee was a very adept athlete, right? He would train. He was at the top 1% of his time, as far as being an athlete. But he wasn't fighting the best people, right? He didn't do a lot of fighting. He did little demonstrations and this and that, but it wasn't fighting. So Chuck Norris would beat Bruce Lee because he actually fought in tournaments. He fought some of the best. You understand? So this is what we know, right? To be a good fighter, you have to fight. That's just the way it goes, right? You have to train and you have to fight. You can't just train, right? This is why a thing that a lot of people we didn't understand. So you understand. Today we when it comes to masculinity, right? When we have all these different podcasters who talk about masculinity, the red pill, the manosphere. There are so many of these TV people, right? They're basically, they have no experience, right? They just repeat what people say. These are these we call self-reinvented people, right? They don't actually, try to improve themselves and become that, right? They're not a fake it till you make it type person, right? They're just a fake it and fake it and fake it person. I was looking at a program with talking about Bolo Young, right? He was one of Bruce Lee's good friends. And he was saying, he did a couple of Bruce Lee movies. He was also, I believe the last movie he did was Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Bolo Young said the reason why he left, the TV, fighting and all that other stuff, right? Because he just said it was no honor. It was just like people like Steven Seagal, who, who were fake masters, basically. And he said, but the person who he hated worst of all was David Carradine. David Carradine, he had a show in the 60s called Kung Fu, The Way of Life or something like that. And even in the 90s, right, when he was older, they said it was a show, Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, which I watched, a few seasons, a few episodes I watched. But Bolo Young said he hated this man's guts because it reminded him of how America appreciates mediocrity, embraces mediocrity. We all know the story, right? Bruce Lee wanted to do a show about a Shaolin monk who gets into adventures in America, who goes from town to town and helps people and uses Chinese philosophy and so forth and such, right? But they wind up just stealing his idea and using a white man because they were like, well, we don't think that white America is ready to see, such a thing, right, of a Chinese person doing all this or whatever, right? So that's the thing. And this is what has become with podcasting, with this manosphere, with this red pill stuff, right? None of these people are proven as far as, practicing what they preach. If you're a pickup artist or whatever, you should be talking to multiple women a day. You should be talking, randomly, code approaching, 5, 6 women a day and doing this and doing that and, going on date, whatever. You should be practicing these things, right? There are clowns out here who don't practice nothing. They don't have any girlfriends, never had any girlfriends, right? And they're sitting there trying to sell you, their Patreons. They want to sell you books. They want to sell you whatever. And they're not even about that life. They the David Carradines, really worse than David, worser, But yeah, it's like America appreciates mediocrity. We appreciate fantasy, right? There has been a lot of damage done, right? I'm going to do a video on this too. But when Robert Greene came out with the 48 Laws of Powers, it was just a lot of unrealistic people, right, who think reading this book would change their life, will make them into a mob boss or a king or whatever, right? People don't really want to go and do the work on themselves, right? To really actually work on yourself and become that person that you really want to become for real is extremely difficult and it's painful. You understand? And people want to just bury their bones. throw their bones in the closet, and they want to just reinvent themselves and, just show and just put on a mask. And they want to sit here and to give people advice and tell people what they should do and project the way the world should be. And these people don't have no foundation. This is dangerous for a lot of people, for the young mostly. It gives a very bad message, right? But there's nothing is 100% bad or 100% good, right? It also shows, like, for those who find out about these people, these fake alpha males, these fake red pills, these fake persons, right? We look and see where, hey, it was just a show with them. But look, if we put in the work and improve and do whatever we can do, you understand? Whatever you want to do, whatever you want in life, or whatever you need, right? Because one of the problems is with human beings, right? We always want what we want. We want to be rich right away. We want to be healthy right away. You know what I'm saying? We want to be in a relationship right away. You understand? Everything is just a microwave. We want microwave solutions, right? We want to, we don't want to go through the time and the patience, and so we can get the knowledge and wisdom and understanding of different things, right? And it's just sad. It's sad, right? That how the world and the narrative, right, is changing for the worse for people. But like I said, nothing is 100% bad, because we can realize that, hey, these knuckleheads, they're talking all this stuff and they still knuckleheads. So, hey, you can do, the sky's the limit for us. You understand? So, yeah, this is all I want to talk about, man. The difference between faking it until you're making it, and faking it and faking it. And being realistic, right? Chuck Norris would beat Bruce Lee. And David Carradine wasn't a kung fu master, even though he masqueraded as one. And he used to play into it, He used to, find little quotes of Eastern philosophy, of Lao Tzu or whatever, and say this and that. And people think, oh, he plays this on TV. But no, that really wasn't him. You understand? So seeing Chuck Norris, he's gone. And just my understanding how perception of reality and actuality how it can get distorted according to what we think we see, what we think we know, you understand? And the reality of things, right? Because even if when a person is speaking truth, right, a person can take all the fire and good out of something that's truth and powerful, because they're not applying it. You understand what I'm saying? They just want to sound smart or whatever. They just wanted, attention. You understand? And they'll take all the fire, all the goodness out of that in certain situations, right? Sometimes truth, right, is good no matter who's speaking it. But when you have a person who has no integrity, when you have a person who absolutely has no virtues, and they're not even working themselves to those virtues, and they speaking on different virtues that they do not have, or not even seeking to have or working to have, they take the fire out of that. They take the goodness out of that. So yeah, man, rest in peace to him, and I'll talk to y'all soon.